The China Effect. Commentary. For decades, drawn by low labor costs and huge consumer opportunities, Western companies moved their manufacturing bases to China. Many made fantastic profits for years from China's sweatshop labor wages. Earlier this month, Starbucks sold a majority of its Chinese operations, 60%, to China's Boyu Capital. With a business value of $4 billion, the deal is one of the largest sell-offs by a global consumer company to China in recent years. But will it be the last? A policy to absorb foreign innovation. As Starbucks has learned, the costs of doing business in China can be high and far-reaching. Two local competitors, Luckin and Coty, are undercutting Starbucks latte prices by more than 2/3, grabbing big chunks of its market share. Grabbing coffee companies is just the tip of the iceberg. For decades, China has been stealing intellectual property, industrial designs, microchip technology, medical and pharmaceutical formulas, trade secrets, and other know-how from its advanced foreign trade partners. This phenomenon is not just incidental. It reflects a deliberate, systemic Chinese strategy to absorb foreign innovation, build and expand its technological base, and gradually push out foreign competitors, while reclaiming its domestic market largely for its own state-backed competitors. Forced technology transfers are common. Foreign companies seeking access to China's enormous market must often agree to joint ventures with Chinese partners. According to the National Defense University, China leverages joint venture requirements, foreign investment restrictions, to force or pressure technology transfers from American companies. Chinese companies use joint ventures, licensing agreements, talent acquisition, and even cyber espionage, often coordinated by the Chinese regime, to acquire sensitive technology. This isn't accidental. It's deeply embedded in Beijing's industrial policy and has worked exceptionally well. And it couldn't be simpler. Why spend billions on research and development when you can force the transfer of, or steal, the very best technology the world has to offer without the budget expense? What's more, under its Made in China 2025 plan, the Chinese Communist Party has explicitly targeted key sectors, semiconductors, rail, aerospace, demanding that foreign investors share their most important technologies in exchange for access. But it goes well beyond those tech verticals. IP theft. Just ask Volkswagen. In November 2024, the German automaker finally relented and sold its Xinjiang operations to a state-owned Shanghai Motor Vehicle Inspection certification. Sharing its technology was the price of entry into China, resulting in Volkswagen competing against its own designs there. It has been reported by various media outlets that China has been allegedly stealing the company's secrets and manufacturing processes for more than 2 decades. Another notorious case concerns the U.S. chemical company DuPont. It's the same forced transfer ploy. To gain regulatory approval from Beijing, it had to transfer its proprietary chemical and pigment production technologies to its Chinese partners. DuPont later sued its Chinese partners, but was met with a Beijing-backed antitrust investigation. While the probe was suspended in 2025, the episode highlights how regulatory power can be used as leverage. In a critical semiconductor case involving Micron Technology's highly sensitive drum chip designs, Chinese state-owned Fujian Jinhua and employees from Taiwan's UMC were indicted for conspiring to steal Micron's trade secrets. The stolen designs were used by China to build its own drum chip factory. While UMC paid a $60 million fine in 2024, a U.S. court acquitted Fujian Jinhua because the U.S. Justice Department failed to prove that the company had stolen the trade secrets, but it remains on a U.S. entity list. The Chinese regime's IP theft is conducted on an industrial scale across almost any industry imaginable, no matter the size of the company or the country involved. In 2004, Japan's Kawasaki Heavy Industries, Germany's Siemens, and Canada's Bombardier were all required to share their high-speed rail technology if they wanted access to the Chinese rail market. Over the years, Chinese engineers reverse-engineered, adapted, and rebranded that technology into their own Harmony high-speed trains. Today, Chinese high-speed train systems compete with those very same companies on the global market. Meanwhile, the past decades have shown that the Chinese legal system offers Western companies little, if any, legal protection. A reverse Starbucks effect. These examples are but a few of thousands of examples of Western companies willingly or unwillingly transferring their very lifeblood of business, their IP and industrial techniques, to China in exchange for a period of high profits and access to the country's billion-plus consumer market. The truth is that foreign companies operating in China gain access to the consumer market long enough until Chinese competitors are able to replace them. Of course, this reverse Starbucks effect, where a company ultimately loses its IP and market share in China, isn't new, but it is accelerating. The number of Western companies leaving China is growing and involves some of the biggest names in the world, including Microsoft, Dell, Stanley Black & Decker, Blizzard Entertainment, Airbnb, IBM, and, of course, Starbucks. But is it too late? Have China-based supply chains made foreign companies vulnerable to Chinese disruption? Certainly, with regard to rare earth elements and other strategic materials, that's the case, at least in the near term. It's also the case with companies in multiple industries, to varying degrees. If nothing else, when it comes to operating in China, the Starbucks effect amounts to Western companies finally waking up and smelling the coffee.